Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids. Back out in the woods, I've got another review for you today. We're going to be looking at the Mora Tactical SRT knife. Now I actually saw this knife first at SHOT Show 2015, and I went to Mora's booth, was looking at some of their gear, and ended up talking to some of the folks over there, and this is the knife that really stood out to me. It's kind of interesting the way it's set up. It is a tactical knife. It's also certainly going to be usable for bushcraft, camping, wilderness survival, things like that. It is actually being used already by folks who are in tactical military law enforcement like that, particularly overseas in Europe. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the specs on it, and then we'll actually use it out here in the woods. I'm not a police officer, law enforcement, military, all those type of things, so I don't have the ability to tell you how I've used this in the field, but we will talk about applications geared toward those tactical things as well. But once again, the Mora SRT tactical knife. I do have a video kind of overview from SHOT Show 2015. I put a link down below so you can check that out when this video is done. Now when it comes to Mora knives, one of the first questions people often ask is about the tang. Is it a full tang? Is it half tang? Because you can't really see where the steel inside the handle ends. I will tell you that the steel on this one ends right about here, so right where you get this little bit of kind of jimping or texture is where the steel ends. Let me show you a picture from the Mora website so you can actually see what it looks like in a graphic form. So here's the picture on the website. The Mora website is moraofsweden.se, as you can see up at the top there. We have a picture of the sheath, and then you can see in this graphic how far the tang goes. So it is not a full tang knife, but if you've used Mora knives before, you know they're just very nicely made, very solid. I don't think you're gonna have any problem whatsoever with weakness when it comes to this knife. The sheath on this knife is like a lot of the other Mora knives. You have this molded plastic here. This one is a little bit different because it adds some extra features. You can see you have this nylon down here, and then flip it over to the back. You do have a unique mounting system. Most of the Mora knives basically got this nylon sheath, and it's got like a loop or a clip that can go over your belt, or a loop that you can run a belt through. This one, because it does have tactical applications, has a couple other features. So first is that this plastic piece fits into this nylon addition to the sheath. Next you can see we have this little tab that pulls over there. So in addition to the friction that keeps the knife inside the sheath, you also have this. So just in case it starts to get loose, that'll keep it in place. Over here on the back, you can see we have lots of different hook and loop closures. So you can run this on a vest, you can run this on a pack, you can run this on MOLLE webbing. Lots of different setups for definitely camping, outdoors, wilderness survival things, but also in particular tactical applications. So that's one thing I like. I'll roll in some photos here of what this looks like attached to a vest that has MOLLE webbing, so you can see what that actually looks like to use it in that way. Here's what it looks like on my belt, and as is often the case, right, when you have a loop that your sheath goes on, it's going to move between the two loops. So it's going to move all the way back to here and all the way up to there. That's just the nature of any kind of sheath like that. I will tell you that based on the width of this belt and the size of the loop, this is a wide rigger's belt, and it does fit through there just fine, but it is nice and snug. This thing does not move around a ton. Like as I'm walking, it's not going all over the place. Very snug and secure, and so you can take the little loop off, and then drawing the blade is very easy to do. One thing I like about Mora knives is just the way it feels in hand. There's not a ton of contour and texturing to the handle, so it's got this rubber overmold. It's got one little divot here, so you got a groove for your finger, and then nothing else back here. A little bit of texture here. I don't even want to call it jimping, but kind of texture here, texture on the top, and a little bit on the bottom. But because they're not committed to basically, like 2 big finger choils or 1 finger choil and then a bunch of smaller little divots or rests for your finger, I find that my hand always just feels really comfortable with a Mora. And if your hand, let's say you have like huge hands, right, and this finger takes that whole spot, well then you can hold it comfortably. If you got smaller fingers, you can kind of squeeze 2 fingers into this front section. So I just like the way Mora knives feel when I actually hold on to them. The spine is a very steep angle, so this reminds me of using the Benchmade Bushcrafter that I reviewed not too long ago. It has a steep spine, so you want to make sure that you're, just be careful as you're using it. You can actually beat your hand up a bit if you're using it aggressively and your thumb is slipping off the top section there. But very comfortable. Nothing on the back side as far as there's no Mora or anything like that. On the front it does say Mora knife, made in Sweden, stainless steel, and that's a little bit about actually holding it and the texture of the handle. The one thing I'll mention is that you do have a little bit of an extension here of a different type of plastic than this rubber. You got rubber here and then plastic on the end. There's not metal right inside this. Again, the metal's further down, so don't use this for crushing or hammering or something like that, because this just won't hold up. It's not made to actually do that. All right, let's talk about the blade a little bit here. As you can see, interesting. So you have plain edge, serrations, and then plain again. So when I talked to Bjorn out at SHOT Show 2015, who is the Mora rep, he mentioned a couple things. One is that he said most times to get a cut started, you want the serrations, but then you want a plain edge to finish the cut. So this allows you to start the cut with just this little bit of serrations and then to finish the cut with the plain edge. The other thing you'll notice is that they leave a plain edge here right at the base of the blade, right near the handle. And the idea was that, you know, if you're doing some really fine work, you probably don't want serrations, so this gives you a very small amount of space to actually get in and do some really fine work there without having the serrations get in the way. So that's the thinking behind it, which I think it's pretty creative. They're thinking a little bit outside the box when it comes to how they lay out the serrations on these knives. The last thing we'll do before we show you the knife in use is show you how to attach the sheath system to some MOLLE webbing. And since this is being built as a tactical knife for military, law enforcement, etc., you know, there's a good chance that people in that line of work have something on them that's got MOLLE webbing. So this entire system, you got your plastic sheath, and that is built. This looks like it's actually coming from Mora. This lower portion here, and then all the hook and loop and stuff on the back, is made by Snigel Design, SNIGEL Design.com. And I just checked out their website, and they basically build equipment and, you know, ways to attach gear and such for people in the military and law enforcement. So what you're going to do is you got these 4 hook and loop closures. So open that one up, that one, and then this one. And I thought this next one actually was more hook and loop closure, but it's not. It's just kind of a tab here. So you've got some very durable webbing, and then it's got basically a fold, a bend, and then this section is even a little bit more rigid. And so what you're going to do is basically run it like this. We'll put it down through 3 here. 1. There's the third one. And then it's going to run basically back up through this blue loop, which is a little bit hard to see on camera, but you're basically going to start to feed it back up. So it was going down, now it's going to go back up. And then you're going to reattach the hook and loop closure. So here's the top together. And then we got the second one. Third one. So this is what it looks like when it's attached. I will tell you that it's not super easy to do, but it's actually good because once you get it attached, it is not going to come off easily. So you've got basically that piece of strap that I ran through here, and then you're going to take these hook and loop closures and they're going to wrap on the in-between space where the MOLLE webbing is not attached. And then once you've got it attached, you know, now you can actually draw the knife out much more easily. So just a heads up, to attach it is going to take a little bit of work, but once it is attached, it's going to be quite solid and connected to your MOLLE webbing. I'd be surprised if that came out, you know, even with a lot of movement. I think that's going to be staying secure very effectively. A couple things I want to mention as we continue on with the review. This knife is basically the exact same thing as your More Bushcraft, but this one has serrations. That said, because a lot of people have reviewed Mora knives and used them in outdoor settings, camping, wilderness survival, bushcraft, I'm going to test this knife out using it on basically non-natural material. So I'll use it on some paracord. I'll use it on some you know, wood that's been manufactured, maybe some pallet wood. We'll do a stab test with it and see how that works. But just because a lot of people have already talked about how these knives perform in the woods, we're going to do something a little different. I've reviewed the Companion, I reviewed the Light My Fire knife, and both those have performed great in the woods, but let's just mix it up a little bit here by using this on some more man-made materials. Start off by cutting some paracord here, and we'll use just the plain edge at first. So no problem with that. Let me double up here, and we'll see how that works. There's the plain edge with 2 strands. No problem with that. Here's 3 with the plain edge. And that works. Let's move down to the serrated edge, see how that works. Yep, no problem whatsoever. As you would expect. You can see a little bit more frayed here on this one on the end when you use the serrated edge as opposed to just the plain. That one's pretty clean cut. We'll double up here with the serrated edge, and that does the job. Next up here, we'll cut some wood. Next up here, we'll use the SRT on this wood, and this is wood left over from a buddy of mine who does woodworking and wood carving, and so this is manufactured wood, and it also has been sitting outside, so extremely dry. So we'll just work on this a little bit here. grip. There we go. Turn it around here just to mix it up a little bit. And so the edge looks like it's holding up nicely. It's certainly beating up the knife, but it is cutting into this extremely hard wood, extremely dry wood. Now, like I've done with some other knives that are geared more toward, tactical applications, self-defense, things like that, we're going to try to take this knife and actually stab it into this. What we have here is a roll of paper towels, kind of like an industrial size roll that you would find, in like a restaurant or maybe like a Target or Walmart or something like that. So we're going to stab into this, see how deep it goes in, and just see how that tip does as far as piercing. We'll just measure this one here as we take that out. So I would say about half an inch for that last stab. Just for kicks now, we'll do a little chopping on this manufactured wood. Check on the tip strength by stabbing into it here. Broke it in half, that's good. So your blade's a little bit messy, but none worse for the wear. No chips, no dings, and the tip. Let's see if you can pick that up at all. Yeah, the tip is totally fine. Nice strong knife, as we would expect from Mora. But you can see even using it in non-woods settings. So manufactured wood, cutting some paracord. I don't have any bigger rope here with me, but tripling over that paracord even, it's held up nicely. My final thoughts here on this Mora knife. The first thing I'll tell you is that it's a Mora. It's great, it's well made. They don't have a wide variety of styles of knives when it comes to, maybe something that's way more geared toward, wilderness survival. It's a big, hefty, 1/4 inch thick chopper or something like that. They also don't make, karambits, anything like that. They've got their general style that they stick with, and they do it really well. The thing that makes this really geared more toward the tactical applications is going to be the sheath. So this is going to be really good to put on MOLLE. It's got retention just by the tension of friction when you put the knife in, and then you have this additional retention here. So that's going to be a plus. As I mentioned in my video from SHOT Show, that it's already being used, or I didn't mention it, but the gentleman from Mora did, that they're already being used in tactical applications by military law enforcement people in those lines of work. So, would I recommend this for that application? It seems like if it's already being used there, it's probably going to be serving well. I've yet to see a Mora just totally fail. There are some things I like about some Moras more than others, and Aaron over at Gideon's Tactical put together a review on a Mora, and I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but I'll put the link down below. And he talked about some of the things he likes about certain Moras versus other ones. The one he reviewed has a little bit kind of a lip here at the bottom, and he didn't like it because it sounds like it rubbed up against his hand that way. But overall, the knife functioned well, as most Moras do. The serrations on this one, I'm not totally sure. In general, if you said I had to pick either serrations or no serrations for the rest of my life, I would just go with a plain edge. But I have found, in particular, like everyday utility tasks, in particular cutting cardboard, I have found that the knives that I've used that have serrations seem to work really well for that. So, you know, give or take, it's a preference thing. That unique feature, again, that you've got the plain edge, you got the serrations, and this little bit of space to do some of that fine detail work if you want to. I like the fact that they've thought that through. So once again, if you want to get a Mora, you will not be disappointed. They make high quality knives and they're not super expensive. So I would encourage you to check them out if you don't own one, or for a lot of people, if you don't own a bunch already. Thanks as always for checking out the videos here on YouTube. Please subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids on YouTube if you've not done so already. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check us out on Instagram and Tumblr as well. Take care.